So Hima, I'm going to ask you, with all of this information, how or what limits us from change, and what support can the person get? Because you said an individual um, who's avoiding, it has an impact in and around his or her circle. So not necessarily entirely on that individual, but people around. What kind of support can they give in order for this person to take the first step towards a change, and what limits us from that change?
Change. Just to backtrack a few lines, it's not that the person who avoids does not experience a consequence. It's possible that they keep avoiding the consequence as well.
Okay.
And there are different avenues for coping mechanisms. For some, it is even substance in worst case scenario.
Right.
So you don't realize that it's affecting you, and that again is a true cost as well.
Right.
But what limits us from change? Lots of things for sure. It's the firm belief that perhaps you understand the world and that's it. You have understood the world. So perhaps a lack of curiosity might limit growth again. Also the fear, like I mentioned before. Fear is one of the aspects that, a person thinks about first. But it could be a bit more deeper than that. It's definitely how a person would perceive that change. Is it too scary? Do they have the capacities to match that fear? And when we talk about change, especially post-pandemic, a lot of people, and it's one of those fancy words now, resilience. Everyone wants to talk about resilience, learn resilience. What we need to understand that it is, it's resilience is not that nothing happens to you. It's like the shock absorber of a car. Something happens, but it manages to sustain you. You pick yourself up. And how one builds resilience is like resilience training. You have to actually push your boundary. You put yourself in a difficult spot, not like jumping into the deep end of the pool, but you go deeper successively in increased, you pick up the next week weight.
So increased challenge.
Increased challenge. So it's again, it's putting yourself at that point. If you're not ready, perhaps for going to put yourself in that difficult position, which needs you to change what existing muscle you have, then perhaps that learning that skill might be lost. And it is a very, very vital skill, because change is the only thing that's constant. Not, to say that cliche term, you are going through change whether you recognize it or not. And perhaps you will come to a point where coping becomes very, very difficult if that muscle of resilience isn't there. And you either resort to avoidance or substance use or different ways of coping which are perhaps maladaptive. They don't really help you to survive or pick yourself up after a fall. So these are some things that I believe limit us from change along with others.
Okay, so if a person needs help in order to be a better parent, with the internal dialogue, to someone to guide, not just a person but the family needs help, or to know how to manage their emotions, know what their emotions are, and also to try and make a change for the better, they can always approach you.
Oh, definitely. And I truly believe that every person is capable of self-directed change. What I am is a partner in that journey, and I become a voice and try to provide a safe space where they can venture into these depths where your own experience of shame and vulnerability is first addressed. And I think that is key. The relationship that I share with my client is what will help us go down that path of difficulty, introspection, and ultimately result in self awareness.